Hello there everyone and welcome to this week's video, and once again I'm going to be reacting to Inside Star Citizen, which Thursday just gone was about the Overdrive Initiative. This is the new multi-staged event building up to the Xenothreat, which is, as I understand it, one of the most popular of the dynamic events that's been introduced into Star Citizen so far. I've only played that event once. I didn't really understand what was going on at the time. I was pretty trash at it, but it is one that I am looking forward to get involved in because it sounds like it covers a multiple range of different types of activity, which is what you really want the dynamic events to be as much as possible. In terms of the Overdrive Initiative, I've only really done the first couple of bunkers, the ones that you can basically get away with doing solo. Outside of that, I haven't gone and done any more. Part of that is because of time availability to be able to play with certain other people, and focuses on a lot of other things as well at the moment because it's a busy time of year for me. But there is time, so I may still be able to get these done. But I can't sit here and say I know everything that happens in Overdrive Initiative. And obviously, I expect some of that will be talked about in this video. And my assumption is that this is a bit of a testing ground for a possible new model for dynamic events going forward. Whether or not it will be applied to all the existing ones, I don't know. But certainly, if we get any new dynamic events, which I'm sure we will do, um, they may come in this staggered format over the course of a month or so. Before we actually get into the video, this weekend, JK Capella from CIG has put up a post about Phase 5, and they say, "Hello everyone, hope you are all having a great weekend. We've been observing issues with Phase 5 of Overdrive Initiative that became evident on the live servers, and we wanted to let you know that we've been monitoring your experience with this phase very closely. We're putting together a strike team to resolve these issues for the upcoming Alpha 3.23 updates. To ensure there's ample time to complete Phase 5 with the fixes, we'll be extending this phase's completion date. We'll have more details once 3.23 is live, but we wanted you all to rest assured that if you're unable to complete this phase currently, you'll be able to in the new update." Now, aside from the fact that that kind of implies that maybe 3.23 is coming sooner than we realize, because that extends the potential deadline for Phase 5 by several weeks. Like, at the moment, those of us who are playing it in Wave 1 and those who have played it in Evercati know where 3.23 is at. We know which features are not yet ready for testing. So I think the general consensus amongst us would be that it's not even going to go onto the full PTU, if it, as it were, for at least a couple more weeks. Maybe we're wrong about that. Maybe there is a plan to push 3.23 out sooner, which means that, Phase 5 and the final Xenothreat event are now going to be delayed to potentially sometime after Invictus or just before Invictus. They won't do it during Invictus. I don't think the servers would handle it. But maybe it's all coming sooner. That would be the assumption. But on top of that, again, we've got an example there of the transparency from CIG. They've tried something, it's not worked. They're not going to penalize the players for it. They're just saying to us, look, bear with us. We've got a fix coming, but we're only going to release that fix in line with the next major update. So I always appreciate the communication from CIG. I know there are people out there who disagree, who think they don't communicate enough. All I ask is take a look at a lot of other studios and how bad they are with communicating with the players. And CIG do things a lot better than I would say most. But let's move on to the video and let's see what Jared and co have to say this week.
Those of you playing Star Citizen for the last month have been experiencing a new kind of mission chain for a new kind of global event called the Overdrive Initiative, the 5-part prelude to the return of a newly improved Xenothreat arriving in the upcoming Alpha 3.23. And so this week, we went to the folks who created it to discover their original intentions, to hear their reactions to how it's been going, and to get a look at what lies ahead for this and additional initiatives leading up to 4.0 and beyond.
Yeah, that's pretty much me on the bunkers that I've played so far.
Overdrive Initiative, codenamed Hex Penetrator, was an attempt for us to dip our toes into new events and quest chains for players to progress immediately or over a
That
certain
makes
amount of
sense.
time.
Quest
We're a live
chains.
service. We need to do things that increase engagement and get players playing together. So the Overdrive was our way of experimenting with some stuff that's most common in other MMOs and trying to see if it's a good fit for us.
It's a 5-phase mission that prepares the players for the Xenothreat event.
And it's one of the first times that we've actually kind of done a longer storyline across multiple contracts rather than just here's just one.
So in this case, we try to release the new missions weekly, but depending on feedback and information data, we either shorten it a bit or take a bit longer.
And the idea is that we run it for a phase. It's somewhat grindable content that gets harder with each new one that you do, and it's all towards some sort of greater narrative.
It's more giving the players a deeper understand of the lore of the game and prepare them in advance to the Xenothreat at the end of a long time mission.
Just want to go back to one of the things that was said about halfway through that little segment there is they wanted to try and find a way to push players to play together. And I think if I look at my own experience with this and in gaming in general, I think that's a really important point because I'm in my mid-40s and I have traditionally been a solo player for the majority of my life. I do play certain other games with other people, things like 7 Days to Die. I played PUBG, although when I played PUBG, I was very much a solo player. I very rarely did go into squads. And Star Citizen is a game that is kind of very slowly drawing me out of that solo sphere. And I think these events are kind of a microcosm of that. And maybe the reason I've only got so far in the events to date is because of that kind of little wall that I've got built up around myself where gaming is my little bubble that I do, and letting other people into that bubble is a bit of a difficult thing for me. So more and more events like this in the game for someone like me, although at first I may not necessarily make the most of them, I think like I intend to play this game for as many years as I possibly can. And I've no doubt that it will draw that side of me out. It'll break down those barriers. So I actually like that idea that in order to actually really appreciate the final event, kind of need to get into these little smaller events. So I like that touch. I like that approach.
Question?
So let's start with phase one. So phase one was a data heist where the player had to go down and recover some data off of servers.
We gave it a bit of a narrative spin where the CDF has detected a lot of their security bunkers going offline or being taken over by Xenothreat soldiers, and they're recruiting any willing and able body.
And you have to go and infiltrate and capture the data to figure out what they're doing.
And keep the server room protected until
A little variation I'd like to see on that, and this could come down the line, is I own a Mercury Star Runner, and also we have a thing in the game called the Drake Herald, both of which are designed to deal with data. I would really like to see it if they could somehow tie the need to use one of those ships into these kind of events, even if it means that, you know, you have to go and rent one of them from one of the kiosks, or you have to go and find another player who has one of those relevant type of ships. So not only are you going down into the bunker to like get hold of the data or stop the data theft, but then you need to transfer some of that data onto the relevant ship to be able to go and deliver data to the right people or whatever. Or maybe another side to the event, a counter to the event where you're working on Xenothreat's half, where they're stealing the data and you are in one of those ships because, you know, we're talking about a Death Star Tantive 4 situation here. The data has to then be transferred to one of the ships to be taken off elsewhere. So again, these are the sort of things that I wouldn't be surprised if Elliot and his guys have already had those thoughts, but I want to put those out there, you know, just in case.
the hacking is done.
We balance this for all of the AI to be the tough part of it, along with the servers, so the further up through the mission chain you got less time to recover each server and turn the cooling off.
Yes, the AI, when I did do the couple of bunkers that I did, they were a lot better. They were a lot more reactive. I was getting charged in this particular room by one coming through the doors every time. And then, yeah, obviously the time to go and find the codes decreased. And that is where it kind of really does encourage you to try and play with at least one other person, like someone in the room to enter the code, someone out there to go and, find the code.
And you had more AI coming to attack you.
One of the main key differences that I had the joy of implementing is we took some of the tech from Squadron over, where it's not just Xenothreat attacking you, but they're also putting a lot of pressure going into the server room. You might spot some of the Xenothreat people actually rushing down into the server room
Yeah.
to try and check all the covers to see where you're at.
A lot of good feedback so far.
I think phase 1 went well. We did a lot of work on improving the AI.
Some people getting the intended experience that we have designed, where the AI are reactive, where everything's working perfectly.
Some people have spotted some of the AI rushing to the server room and they were like, I didn't even know that AI can sprint at me. Like, is that...
It was a surprise.
And other people who reporting the chip didn't insert, or the AI aren't as reactive as we'd have liked. These are all things that we take down internally, and we look to improve constantly to better the experience in live.
I mean, we experienced that throughout the game anyway.
With the new kind of flow of things and the AI being way more accurate and scary. More John Wick, less couch potato.
Depending on the number of players, it gets really tricky because there's a difficulty curve between the first time you try the mission till the last one. The first time is quite easy to get with 2-4 people.
Or one.
Since you get to the end, it gets really hard to achieve it.
I've seen people coming with like 20 to 30 people just to raid that one bunker, which is, in my opinion, a bit of overkill, but it's really cool to see.
So, is there anything that they can do to encourage people to group up, but not to group up too much? I'm not quite sure how they would go about do that, because I don't necessarily see that we want to go down the MMO route of you've got X number of slots in this instance of the event, you get one player for each of those slots, and then that's it. A, we don't have those kind of roles available to us, at least right now. And B, I don't know, I think it makes it a bit too artificial once you start designating roles like that. Maybe it can be something to do with the rewards, so you only offer a limited award per head to a maximum amount. That would be the way I probably would resolve it. That is if they want to, mate. I mean, as he said, he said it looks fun, like having 20 people doing one of the bunkers at a time. But it may be that down the line they decide that actually that's kind of detracting a little bit from the purpose of the event, the difficulty of the event, and the satisfaction that you get from doing the event. Although I'm sure plenty of people are more than satisfied charging in with a large group and just getting it done within like 5 minutes. But no, that's an interesting conundrum. I wouldn't say problem. I'm not going to say it's a problem. It's just a conundrum and something for them to maybe think about to see if it's anything they do want to change to maybe alter player behavior in a certain way.
2 is then a bounty recovery mission,
where you have to go and find some of these Xenothreat people.
The civil force detect that there is a Xenothreat target that has a decryption key that will allow us to discover information about the Xenothreat movement.
But it's encrypted, and the CDF has then located some high-value targets from Xenothreat, which are holding a decryption key. So you have to go out there, take them out, steal their encryption key.
Target destroyed.
So this is the phase that I haven't gotten to yet. But this kind of goes back to what I was saying about the MSR and the Herald then, because obviously at the moment they're focused on there being a decryption key. Again, it would be a really interesting twist to this kind of event if rather than getting a physical key, you had to find a station, say on the Hammerhead, and transmit from that station to one of those ships all the data, and then you've got to have a group of people with you to defend while you're transmitting stuff from the station. But I like the sound of that, and hopefully I do still get a chance to actually go in and do all of these at some point.
And then bring it to one of the drop-off points.
Kill them, steal it, and deliver it. We can get more intel on what Xenothreat's planning next.
These missions used to exist way back when in the PU, but they were taken out because they were broken. So we made an effort to fix these up and then reuse them in this phase.
My main mission was to grab the bounty mission that we already have there and merge it with the delivery one, be sure like the decryption key was a spawner, and do that merge between both missions into one main mission style.
Try the cargo terminal.
The idea again was these scale up and get more difficult as you go. But on release there was a bug which actually made some of them a little bit easier, as I have seen people and also had messages saying stuff like, hey, the Xenothreat Overdrive Initiative Phase 2's ace. And then 30 minutes later, might have spoken a little bit prematurely, and then a massive wall about something that might be bugged. So thanks for that, Army Esports guy.
One of the most ridiculous things that I saw on Phase 2 is the hover bikes, people using 3
Brilliant.
down the Hammerhead.
No way.
It's just absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know what to say to that. Well done.
Presumably, in 323, that won't be possible anymore with master modes, but that's hilarious. And I kind of wish I'd seen some of that unfolding live. That would have been absolutely hilarious.
We'll look to make the AI respond to dragonflies and actually like kill you, because there's no way you should be able to kill a hammerhead.
That's insane. Oh no.
Contradictory feelings because it's like I put so much effort on this mission, and because of balance issue, you see these people taking the mission in a different way.
But then that's why Star Citizen is a public alpha, because we're here to try things out and see what happens so that CIG can learn from it. And, you know, having players do absurd shit is a great way for the devs to look and say, there's a loophole that we need to close. So I love the fact that people do actually do random shit like that, because it actually is really helpful towards game development.
But in the other side, it's fun to see the pro players that we have challenge themselves with our missions.
Phase 3 is Xenothreat being a bit more brazen. They realize that their setup has not been working so well, so they're just doing all-out incursions. They're popping up randomly around Stanton with a massive combat fleet.
The idea in normal MMOs is you turn up, you get entered into some sort of quest, and it's like, this thing's happening, engage with it, and if you leave the area, you sort of, the quest is removed. The incursion is our first step into trying to do that with the current system we have.
It's a challenging thing that you will need to get collaboration between the different players to be able to tackle down those ships.
So the idea is you go to a location and there's lots of ships, and everyone, it's a server-wide event, so even if you've not done Phase 1 or Phase 2 of Overdrive, you can still do Phase 3.
I did not know that. Okay.
The previous phases, but the idea of it's kind of a, this is happening right now in world for everybody. Everybody needs.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
These ships.
I would have done that if I'd known that.
To me, there is that when we played it, it was quite difficult, and we needed to cooperate and stay coordinated to take down like the big amount of ships that needs to be killed.
Now, bear in mind, I'll say it all the time, I am not a particularly good combat fighter, but that sounds really good fun. Again, a really good way to get people across the server just to play together. I like the idea that it encourages like actual collaboration. So whether that's using the in-game chat, which is probably one of the most inefficient ways to do it, or getting in on a Discord call to do it, or even using in-game chat, which, you know, VoIP doesn't get used anywhere near enough for this game yet. But yeah, no, as I said, I wasn't aware that you could jump in on this without doing 1 and 2. I should have read the notes basically. So I'm definitely going to look out for an opportunity to do this section because it looks really good.
So, as of recording this hasn't happened. What I expect to happen is that some lovely players will turn up in a bunch of dragonflies and
Probably.
make it all look like so. Thanks in advance.
How does this make you feel?
I love dragonflies. I got one.
I don't like dragonflies. Sorry.
In Phase 4, we kind of split it into 2 subsections. So Phase 4 will have a section that is a com array, and then there's like a 4.A, which is Korea.
First phase is 3 com arrays back to back are being taken down by Xenothreat operatives.
And then you have to go in and stop them. And in the meantime, as you're doing so, be ready to face some ships.
They're guarding it, and you're tasked to
Ooh.
reactivate the com array. When you do, they're throwing everything they got at you. Try to reconnect to the com array.
Obviously, these are crucial to the functioning of the law and communications around the planet they get taken down from, so you need to repair them. We've added some fun little surprises and changes to them, so it's not just going to be your generic com array run that people are used to.
And once the com array is reactivated, the turrets come back online and help you in the fight.
Okay, so they don't destroy your ship. That's good.
From, the com array being guarded, it's also more focusing on the combat. We're throwing a lot of ships on you, as well as the Vanguard ships are hacking into the com array while you're re-establishing the connection. So you need to focus your fire on those.
So I'm just looking at that and listening to what they're saying there. And again, me not being a particularly good combat pilot, I think I'll struggle with this part. I really do. So when I do get round to doing it, I think I'm going to be best off as a gunner on someone else's ship rather than being a pilot myself. I'm just, yeah. I sometimes react too slow to things. I'm not very good on the HOTAS, but it doesn't mean I don't like the look of it. I do think it looks fun. I do like the fact that we've got this 2-stage part to this phase as well, which obviously we're going to go on to the Korea part in a second.
Ships before targeting all of the escort ships.
Target destroyed. So the idea is that some players would be dealing with the outside defenses, and other players would be trying to actually...
Oh yeah, I'd be on the inside.
Make sure the com array is handled. After you've done enough of these, it turns out that it was all a red herring.
And actually, they're doing an all-out assault on Korea to wipe the entire criminal database and sow some chaos so they can plan something more sinister, which you're being tasked to all fly to Korea and take out the incursion of soldiers there.
I once did the once went to Korea to get rid of a few crime stats, let's say, and I'd somehow ended up with like over 100 different kills, and that alone was intense because the guards kept respawning, and obviously that meant every time I killed one, I was getting another crime stat as well. So it was a really intense experience. So hopefully that's kind of prepared me for what to expect from this particular part. But yeah, that was hard work. I think it took a good hour to deal with that when I did that.
So phase 5 is our events refractory period, just kind of cool off.
And the reason we do this is actually a sort of tried and true game design thing where if we keep giving you constant action, your dopamine levels are sky high, and then stuff starts to get really boring as people turning up in dragonflies to kill a hammerhead, clearly not enjoying this normal game.
That's a fair point, though.
So phase 5 is a delivery mission where you have to go bring supplies to the jump point from Pirate Stanton.
Okay.
Where the Xenothreat's about to raid you, and you want to make sure you're prepared for that big battle.
Okay, that's a cool idea. What?
So what we do is we have little respites where the action peaks down and then we'll peak it back up. And because phase 6 is the whole Xenothreat event, which is a huge battle and it's going to be hopefully very difficult, we have a little bit of a respite. Not too much. When you do phase 5 and you have to do these sort of delivery missions, there will be AI there to try and stop you.
Now that I know what phase 5 is, I kind of see why there have been problems with it. Because let's be honest, anyone who over the last couple of years has been doing delivery missions knows how frequently they bug out. Even today, like, you can be absolutely fine, they can be going well, and then all of a sudden, you know, one of your boxes spawns under the ground, or for some reason the unit you're supposed to deliver a box to will not accept that box. There's all sorts of little bugs that happen with delivery missions. So yeah, that really kind of like makes me understand why there has been a problem. It might not be that aspect that they've had a problem with, because they've not gone into detail on that post of what it was. But yeah, that's yeah. Oh dear.
But it won't be as big as a battle as the previous phases that you would have seen.
Parents know you go around shooting people.
And I love the fact that they've tied one of the jump gates, the pyro jump gate, into it as well, which is really cool. You've like got these facilities that at the moment they're a bit redundant because we don't have the ability to jump to other systems yet. So to actually include those in this is fantastic. I do wonder if there's a potential to maybe tie the distribution centers into this particular kind of phase as well. You could do a combined delivery and defend event there as well. So, and again, I've no doubt Elliot already has things like that in mind.
Jump point itself isn't a whole lot different from any other station, aside from that it looks way cooler because, you know, we're building up. Welcome to Pyro soon. People will get to Pyro soon.
Landing complete.
But
Just tease us.
Very, very, very far way for you to go. Because you're always supplying to Pyro, you don't know where you're picking your supplies from. So it can
Right.
be a very quick jump or it can be a very short jump.
Quick and
now
short.
For phase 6, Xenothreat, which you've all played, but we've made changes to it. We have updated the size of some of the boxes, so they're a bit more difficult to handle. You have to be more aware. Some of them will require a dedicated tractor beam. There's
Okay.
a commodity that will help you out inside phase 2 of Xenothreat, which is the protect and resupply of the javelin. And then the showdown has had a whole
Interesting.
rework based on some feedback and some cool thoughts we had from the Capture the Idris event that we did.
Oh. Wait. So Capture the Idris was what? 5 weeks ago or something? Not that long ago, maybe a little bit longer, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. And they've already taken learning from that event and adapted what they were already adapting for Xenothreat. Like the Xenothreat changes have been in the works for quite a while now. And the fact that they've picked up from the Idris event and made changes relatively quickly, that's actually really impressive. Like that means they would have had a plan in place that they've at least partially rewritten in a relatively short amount of time. So that's really cool. And the fact that they've then got it to a stage where it's going to be playable within the next few weeks. Yeah, that's awesome. Great work. Really good work. Fucking dragonflies.
I'm not going to spoil any more of that, but stay tuned.
Okay.
Try to board it.
Try to board it. Try to board it. So, no, I'm not even going to try and guess about that. But okay. Teasing us, Elliot. Teasing us.
Foray into quest missions in an MMO. Things that are meant to be repeatable, grindable, meant to encourage the community spirit and people to play together. This is the kind of direction we were starting to head in when it comes to these quest missions. This won't be the last one you see.
So what we're hoping to achieve with Overdrive Initiative is more quest change and mission linking, more in line with other MMOs that are on the market, which for a more enjoyable play experience instead of more disconnected modules, and give a bit of a narrative flow to it as well, to become more a game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important.
One thing I'd like people to appreciate is that when Chris himself and Rich asked us during some of the reviews as we were making the missions, they asked how the balancing went and if it was difficult. And both Elliot and I's response were, well, for us it's really, really difficult, but we are kind of terrible pilots anyway.
I saw players in the forums saying that they have now motivation to every Friday go back to the game and tackle the new mission.
For the development side, what we're trying to achieve with this is just new ways of making missions, make gameplay for players more fun.
We're constantly evolving and making the game better. Seeing feedback, we have our own internal thoughts of how we think it well. We've done our post-mortems, and we know how we're going to improve it for the next one. So from here on out, it's only going to get better and better, and we're going to see more and more quest chains come in.
Excellent. Which is, what I assumed anyway.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the Overdrive Initiative has been a fun new addition to the persistent universe that touches an entire host of gameplay features for Star Citizen. That if there's one thing you can always count on, it's that the Star Citizens themselves are going to find emergent solutions to the challenges at hand. And that while this may be just the first gated mission chain for the persistent universe, it definitely won't be the last, as it sets the stage for a proper welcome to Pyro during our journey to 4.0 this summer. And if you haven't played the Overdrive Initiative yet, there's still time to play all 5 phases starting tomorrow and running until the release of Alpha 3.23. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week.
Yeah, let's just talk about the event as a whole. I genuinely like the sound of that now, and the plan of what it's going to be going forward. Obviously, we're going to see tweaks to this at some point, but it's confirmed this is the model for a lot of things that they want to go forward. If I think about something like, I really love Siege of Orison, and I kind of love how Siege of Orison is. It kind of has stages built into it already. They're gated, but they're all gated within basically anything from half an hour to, I've been on versions of the event that have lasted 4 hours. They're all within a relatively limited time phase. They could do the same sort of thing with Siege of Orison, and they probably are looking to see if it is feasible. I would like to see a mix of the dynamic events where you do have those shorter and sharper ones and these longer actual quest lines, because again, variety is key. Variety is what keeps people interested, and hence the way they've changed some of the specific waves in this particular event as well. So you go from anything from FPS to space combat to deliveries. Having that variety makes things interesting. It does beg the question of seasons going forward. Obviously, pretty much every MMO out there and some upcoming solo games that we won't mention but involve a certain franchise that I love. Season passes, seasonal events are a big thing. So they could do what they're doing here, where they do it over 5 weeks and then however long Xenothreat itself is lasting. So you've got your own mini season there. But you could even have a season literally last 3 months, or could have a season that lasts a whole year where each month you're introducing something new for players to get involved in. For a year-long one, it would have to be a lot more in-depth, and a lot more narrative. But those options are certainly there. And also, you can then tie that in with the release of new star systems as well. So maybe in order to gain access to going to a new star system, you need to do this 5 or 6 week event, meet certain goals that kind of gives you some kind of right to be able to travel through the gate. But yeah, there's a lot of potential with this. Obviously, up until now, Star Citizen players fall into certain groups. You've got the people like me who pick a career and stick with that and do that most of the time, and then every now and again we'll divert and do something else. Then you've got the players who just want to try a little bit of everything depending on the mood that they're in on the day that they're playing. And then you got the people who just want to sow chaos and just go and do their own random stuff and just have as good a time as they can without any constraints. This starts to give everyone a bit more of a motivation, as they said earlier, to work together towards an end goal. I'm quite interested that this video hasn't addressed the rewards for this particular event. So obviously, initially it was for the upgrade to the F7A, I believe it was. So to get your upgrade token for that if you have one. And then they've added in the Xenothreat armor as an end of event award as well. They've not really addressed the whole awards thing at all. I would certainly like to see an expansion of the awards. I'm not over keen on them keep doing these things of getting the token to be allowed to spend money. I understand why they're doing it, business reasons, perfectly makes sense, but in terms of MMO long term, it's not really a tactic that I'd like to see go on forever. In terms of a set of armor, I have no problem with things like sets of armor, but this is a 6-week initiative, and a single set of armor at the end of it could be a bit better. If I'm being perfectly honest, that's my perfect opinion. I'm not knocking getting free stuff at all. You want to give me free stuff in this game, I will take it. But for the effort that you're putting in, I feel like there maybe could be a better range of the rewards. So it could be like armor, gun skin, ship paint, kind of a combination of things. I'm not keen on the idea of you earning a particular vehicle or ship as the reward at the end, unless it was a really, really big event that lasted several months. That would then be, and it would have to be an exclusive ship that you could only get through doing that event, and that event only runs once every year, once every couple of years or something. But yeah, it's very intriguing that they've kind of avoided that side of things. And it makes me wonder, did they just put those rewards in now as a way to encourage people just to get involved and do it? Because obviously, the more people who play this at this stage, the better data for CIG to develop it. But, you know, MMOs, anytime you do any events, raids, anything like that, part of the reason you're doing them is for a reward at the end. So I don't expect to see them take rewards away, but certainly, in my opinion, the rewards could be a little bit more fulfilling than what they've offered. Not again, as I said, I would take a set of Xenothreat armor right now if I could, and if I get time to do this, I will absolutely do it, and I will treasure that set of armor. It could also be things like, now that we're getting the hangers, like hanger decorations. I like the idea. I was thinking about this the other day, actually, like where you've got particular factions, it would be really cool if you could earn a kind of event based display item. Like it could be a helmet from Xenothreat that actually comes on a stand that you could display somewhere. Or it could be a part of a hull from, say, the Javelin there that's got a Xenothreat marking on it that you can just put on your wall in your hangar as a kind of, I succeeded in this event kind of reward. It's little things like that, but that's kind of like me thinking ahead to, you know, the part of these particular events that they're not focused on right now, quite frankly. They need to get the events actually working, being interesting, going the way that they want them to without too much you know, emergent gameplay. Although they do love a bit of emergent gameplay at CIG, they really do. But yeah, that's cool. I will hopefully find some time to actually get in and do some of this. The thing is, with 323 now hitting wave 1, pretty much every time I get on now, I'm doing some wave 1 testing, just like going around, having a look at all the new features, testing things out. I did a stream the other night over on the Purple platform, just having a look at some of the early parts of Wave 1 PTU. And that's pretty much going to be my focus in the game now until 323 comes in. But I'll have to make sure I put some time aside to come in and do this. And maybe in the next week or so, I can get a few people together and do some of that. But no, that's cool. I wasn't really sure if I'd have much to say about this video, but I've had a lot more, and it's been really, really interesting. And I'm really happy to see that we're now in a phase where we're moving from an alpha just adding features to actually how are we tying all of this together to turn it into a gaming experience. So that's really awesome. So you know, guys, as always, let me know your thoughts about the event. A lot of you will have played this, so kind of let me know how you found it. If there are any aspects you didn't like, what aspects you really loved, any changes you'd like to see made. You know, if you've got any opinion on the rewards side of it, and you know, if you've got any ideas for any other events, you know, chuck them down in chat. Maybe you know, start a thread on Spectrum as well, and just say, I have these ideas. You know, we know the devs do look at Spectrum, so Elliot may look one day and go, you know what, I like that idea, I'm going to use that. When I go to CitizenCon in October, because I can confirm in this video, I will be at CitizenCon. I managed to nab myself one of the premium tickets, so I'm really hoping I get a chance to have a chat with Elliot. And you know, I've got a few ideas that I'd very happily throw his way for him to use. So, but yeah, so let me know. And of course, guys, I hope you have enjoyed the video. So hit the like button if you have done. If you're not subscribed, I would love it if you could subscribe. I'm trying to push towards the 500, which is going to take a while, but hopefully a lot of you like what I'm doing at the moment. And I am really, really trying to make sure I get a video out every week now on these Inside Star Citizen segments. So yeah, subscribe to the channel. It would be remiss of me to finish this video without mentioning that there is currently a referral bonus running through until 2nd of May. So any new players watching, if you have not yet created your Roberts Space Industries account, when you do so, there is a box on the page where you fill out all your details for a referral code. Mine has been on the screen throughout this whole video. It's down there in the corner. If you use that code, you'll get 5,000 UEC to buy items within the game. I'll also get a referral bonus. And while this particular period is on, you will also get a P-52 Merlin, which is a short-range snubfighter, which docks with the Constellation series of ships. So you have to spend at least, I believe it's $40, maybe $45 on your pledge to be eligible, but that pretty much covers all the basic ships anyway. So yeah, and you also, it's really worth me pointing out that when you do sign up to the game, you get your own referral code as well. So it's not a case of that only us creators get to benefit from that. You then get a code yourself that you can share amongst your friends. You can create content, use that code, and you too can benefit with some of the rewards that are offered for the number of referrals that you bring to the game. That is going to be it for me for this video. I am working on a few other videos as well. I should be back next weekend with another Inside Star Citizen reaction. But that's going to be it for me today. Happy adventures in the verse, and I'll see you next time.